Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your chair for the afternoon. My name is Michael Springer. I am a director of Stand Tall, and I'm also proud to tell you I'm Tony Dell's nephew. Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker this afternoon is Margie Braunstein. Her topic will be moving beyond trauma. Margie is a senior facilitator with Quest for Life Foundation and a PTS17 registered clinical psychotherapist in private practice. She is the author of Getting to the Heart of Stress and the owner of Heartnicity, which delivers corporate and public programs that support participants to understand and reduce chronic stress. Margie holds a graduate certificate in adult education, a diploma of psychotherapy and further qualifications in relationship counselling, cancer counselling, executive coaching and somatic therapy. Would you please put your hands together for Margie?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here at the forum. I'm so enjoying listening to all the academia and all of the wonderful presenters that you've had. So hello, and thank you very much. I just grabbed my clicker. So this afternoon, we're really in the business of service provider. We do deliver the services. So while it's great to hear all the research, it's also good to hear from people who are at the coalface, talking to people with PTSD or PTS, whichever you prefer. So I'm really going to introduce you to Quest for Life Foundation, our approach, our philosophy, our program, Moving Beyond Trauma, the importance of the group to healing, which is that psychosocial aspect that we've been hearing about today, the benefits of a residential program, the importance of a really effective intake process to making sure people are in the right place and on the right program, and the value of mixing people with different backgrounds who all present with trauma. So just to give you a small amount of history, the Quest for Life Foundation, if you don't know who we are, we're based in New South Wales, and the founder is Patria King. And Patria is a survivor of childhood abuse, cancer, was diagnosed with cancer when she was 33 and told she wouldn't see Christmas, except for she did, because she's still here and she's nearly 66. She was a survivor of rape, and also of her brother had mental health issues and her father had PTSD after World War II. So when she didn't die of cancer, she decided that what she was looking for when she was very unwell, going through the grief and loss and terror of a life-threatening illness, was a place where she could convalesce, find herself, find her identity. And there was really nothing like that when she was 30 years ago when she was looking for that. So the Quest for Life Foundation was formed on the back of her book called Quest for Life, and the foundation was established in 1989, and since then 120,000 people have been through our doors. Just over 20 years ago, Patria and the Quest for Life Foundation were able to purchase a property 2.5 hours south of Sydney in Bundanoon. It's in the Southern Highlands. So the residential centre has been there for 20 years, just 19 actually. It's in a place called Bundanoon, and for 2 decades we've been running our core program called Healing Your Life, which has been very successful. We run 1 or 2 a month residential Monday to Friday programs. What we noticed was on the Healing Your Life programs, we were getting a large amount of people who were disclosing that they'd either been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress or they had trauma backgrounds. So just over 14 months ago, we decided to develop a program specifically for people who are living with trauma, and we've called that Moving Beyond Trauma. So I am part of a large team of professionals that work on the programs. We have myself and another professional facilitator leading the program. So clinical psychotherapists, we have mental health social workers, trauma counsellors, support people who are mostly all registered nurses as well. We have retired police working on our programs, a massage therapist, yoga teacher and natural health professionals. So a large team, but they're not all on every program. We have 7 or 8 support people, including the facilitators on every program. I came to Quest in 2006, a background in group facilitation, and I'm a psychotherapist in private practice. I've also had my own trauma as well, which I don't intend to go into this afternoon, but childhood trauma with physical and sexual abuse as well. So many people that come to this that come to this business, if you like, that are attracted to healing have often had their own backgrounds as well. And I've done many years of therapy, which I won't bore you with, to get to the place that I'm very privileged to be able to manage myself in a really, really healthy way now. I was feeling quite stressed about doing this presentation today, but I really felt so lucky that I probably got 20 people who know and love me, who know I'm standing here at this minute, who I know are sending me good thoughts. And a lot of people, when they're living with post-traumatic stress, do not have that kind of resource. And we know that at Quest for Life. So in the Moving Beyond Trauma program, the reason we developed it is because we're so aware that people feel so jaded by the process of going through trauma. We've already heard today, and certainly we hear it too from our participants, that people, they come to us, they say, we've tried everything, nothing's worked. We've done everything. Sometimes they're 20 or 30 years down from the original trauma or the original service that they've done for the country, and they're only now just beginning to really have the resources enough to come to a program like ours. Many of them have had time in hospital. Their lives are very limited, they're very isolated. While medication can be incredibly useful, they're often told that this is the best that they can expect, the best quality of life is to be on medication and to regulate it. And they really feel tranquilised, unhappy, and really very despairing, I guess, that life could be any better. No wonder people feel sceptical. And our program, I guess, offers a really holistic approach to trauma. We really try to create a very safe environment for people, and we do that in a specific way in the way that we set up the program. We also base all of our teaching modules and the structure of the program around the latest research, and we update and change as more terrific research comes out. It's so wonderful what we're hearing today, and I'm really buoyed by hearing so much of what Duncan and Robert Usano, like many of the people talking today, are backing up what we're doing. And I'm going, yes, we're doing that. The neuroscience, the latest on neuroscience, epigenetics, the expression of the genes and what causes a gene to express when you've got the predisposition or not. That's the kind of fields that we're looking at. So just to run through the program, I do notice that my timer's not on. Is it meant to be on? Does this mean I can just keep going for 20 minutes? So would you give me a 5-minute warning? That would be fantastic. So we know that with a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress or even an experience of trauma, you may not even have had the diagnosis, is that there's enormous shame, there's a loss of identity, there's often a loss of relationships, lives fall apart, we know this. And people don't feel safe. People feel really vulnerable. In fact, I really understand why people don't come to our programs. That makes sense to me. I think it's just enormous courage that it must take for someone to turn up to yet another program promising them some healing. But yet people do. People come and they bring their hearts and their vulnerability with them. They do tell some of their story, but it's always within their control in our program. But they are given an opportunity. But we don't want them to tell too much of their stories and risk re-traumatisation either. So as we always say, that the participant is always in charge in our programs. It's also the reason why we have smaller groups. There's great value. In our other programs, we can have up to 25 people on a program, and it's no problem. We have the same size support team of 7 or 8 people. But on the Moving Beyond Trauma program, we limit it to 15 people, and we'll run the program with 12 and often do. It just really limits the vulnerability that people feel, because you just couldn't do the trauma program in a group of 25 people. It would be overwhelming for people. Stories are really big, and we may not hear all the stories that people have, or we may hear just a small part of it, but often they're very long-standing, very deep and profound for people. So confidentiality is our number one, probably an extremely important agreement that we have right at the beginning of all our programs. Oh, lucky I got told where the back key was. So people are deciding, is this program for me? As I said, they're often very weary and unsure about where to go, and they hear about this. Most people, 85% of people that attend our programs report that they come because of word of mouth. So it's not that some of them see some advertising, but mostly it's because someone said, I had a good time there, I got something out of it, you might do well there as well. But people do feel at the end of their tether. They're often disappointed with other strategies that they've tried, and coming to another program can really seem helpless. Which is why that we have quite a comprehensive intake process. Sorry, I got distracted because my timer is now working, which is good. So we have quite a comprehensive intake process, which is both verbal and written. We also need a letter from their GP or psychiatrist explaining that they understand that they need to be well enough to be alcohol-free for 4 nights. So we start on a Monday in the afternoon and we finish on a Friday at lunchtime. So people need to know that it is an alcohol-free program and an illicit drug-free program. And if they're not able to regulate that yet, then they're not ready to come on our program. And that's very clear, and we require a letter from their GP explaining that they understand that. They're also spoken at length by our enrolments team so that they understand they need to attend the sessions, they need to be on time, engage, participate, and that there will be a group session, and it also will be involving relaxation techniques, and that it's residential, that they don't go home at night, because, you know, you really need to be clear. People think, oh, I'm going to the pub. That's what they think. I can't drink on the program, so I'll go to the pub. So we're very, very clear on our boundaries and the container that we create prior to somebody arriving on the program. We also, while there's very good reasons for people doing programs where they are with people who have had similar backgrounds, we have chosen on our programs to mix in different groups. So we don't put war vets together. We don't put people who are victims of domestic violence, people that have witnessed horrific things or had sexual or violence assaults or childhood trauma, sexual abuse. We don't put all first responders in. First responders in, our police, fire brigade, paramedics, healthcare workers, but all of these people show up and more on our programs. Some of them have a diagnosis of PTSD, some of them have not self-diagnosed, but have had trauma and have decided to come, so they've self-referred themselves to our program. And we find great value. I've got 8:23 on my time. I'll get the timing thing right. But I will keep moving on though. So we really mix it up because we find it's actually quite moving to see maybe a highly trained senior detective who's retired with PTSD sitting in the same room as somebody who's had childhood sexual abuse or perhaps been raped or tortured, and you can feel that they can look at each other across the room and go, wow, you're suffering with the same thing I am. It's a very levelling, equalising experience. And really we are all about reducing that stigma. We really do want to reduce the stigma by having people in a group where they can tell a little bit of their story. We normalise the trauma. So I'll just keep going on to this because otherwise I run out of time. The benefits of a residential program are that we get to do some education with them, but the main thing is that we immerse people in an experience of relaxing their bodies, body and mind, regularly, 2 or 3 times a day. We do easy to do meditations, relaxations. A lot of people come sceptical, oh, it's so alternative, but in actual fact, we teach people how easy it is to relax their body and mind. We also teach some very simple principles about self-regulation. This volcano is pretty much indicative of what a lot of us feel when we're feeling stressed out, overwhelmed at the end of our tether, and one more thing happens that the volcano explodes. With PTS, it's off the scale, 0 to 100. Doesn't take very long. So we do some basic neuroscience with people. We really teach them about the amygdala. There's a lot of words that fly around out there about neuroscience, the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, and the way it doesn't file the memories away properly, the insula, it goes on and on. We hear all these words, fight, flight, freeze, but often people are too scared to say, I don't really know what that means. So we do a session saying you have a brain, but you're not your brain. You have a traumatised brain, but that's not who you are. You are so much more than this brain. We really normalise the experience that why wouldn't you have this experience? It's a normal reaction, in fact, post-traumatic stress to a very abnormal experience. So we really try to take that stigma out, if you like. And we teach more about reaction versus response. Often our reactions, we don't have much control over that, they're automatic, but we do get to have control over the way we're going to respond once we've had the reaction. And you know what, if you could just master that, your life will change. I'm having this reaction, and given I'm having this reaction, what's the best response right now? How can I just have a little bit of time between the awareness of the reaction and choosing the most skillful, peaceful response for me right now? So we teach people how to breathe. That sounds a bit obvious, but in actual fact, many of us are shallow breathing, and we're not breathing properly. We teach abdominal breathing techniques, which are incredibly relaxing. We teach people how to meditate, and we offer great support. Meditation is not some hippie herbal hoomy-goomy thing. It really is just taking your mind to a point of focus, allowing the thoughts to come across, and then being able to take your mind to a point of focus when you notice the thoughts. And we make it really easy. So support is hard to take. A lot of people don't come because they're doing it themselves, and we've heard today how many people are out there doing that. We also include counselling on our programs, and we also teach people that their issues are in their tissues. The great Bruce Lipton, epigeneticist, it's not my quote, but we really do teach people that it's not all in their head, that what they're feeling, the pain, it actually is physical as well as mental. And we know that post-traumatic stress affects every system of the body, not just the mind, not just some amorphous thing, but actually headaches and the immune system and the reproductive system, endocrine system, it goes on and on. So we have easy, gentle movement to help to relieve some of the tensions in the body. We always have a massage therapist in our programs, or we encourage people just to chill out. We have 9 acres of manicured Old English gardens. Our centre is a beautiful residential centre. So just to get on to the finishing part, does it work? It's still early days. It's only been 14 months, and we really only have 6 months of solid data, but it is coming and we are collecting it. I actually, as one of the facilitators, collect some of and do the evaluations, because we find that people won't participate in the evaluation if they don't know the person who's actually conducting the interview, which is fair enough because they're very personal questions. The scales that we use are the Kessler K10, most of you will be familiar with, the PTSD checklist, and we have developed our own survey, the Quest Wellness Indicator. And we contact people 1, 3, 6 and 12 months after programs. So some of the results that we're seeing in 6 months, well, 1, improvement in wellbeing, staying at around 30-35%, which is extraordinarily good at this stage, but as I said, early days. 3 months, we have 26% improvement in social interactions, and at 6 months, a 41% reduction in PTSD stressors, the perception, I guess you could say, of PTSD stressors. We're pretty happy with that. And to see that with 100, we have a sample of 100 now, 6 months out, average improvement running at 38.3%. We're really, really happy with those results. So let's just hope that that keeps up. And at the moment, it looks like it is. So as you all heard, all the research that's coming out at the moment, that we're lucky and fortunate enough that we can listen to someone's new research, pick it up and integrate it into our program. Basically, it's a really gentle program. It's a very kind program. We help people to return to life with strategies, very practical strategies about how to manage emotions, reactions, lives, relationships. Over a 5-day period, you can cover quite a lot. People don't usually come to us with much financial support because they're already in a pickle. And so some of the providers that we work with, Department of Veterans Affairs, have subsidised many people to attend. You do need a letter from your psychologist or psychiatrist or GP. Victims of crime, the NDIS, you can come once a year on your NDIS program. We've even lately had religious institutions. We had a man not long ago who stood outside the Uniting Church Wesley Mission in Pitt Street and said, "I am not leaving until you pay for me to go to Quest for Life." And he went back every day for 4 days until they said, "Oh, you can have the money." So, you know, hopefully more religious institutions are going to be supporting people to come. And of course, insurers. They are probably the main people that, that will definitely support people to come. It is hard to change, and we know that people do feel vulnerable. The main obstacle is that vulnerability. So we say don't believe a word we say, but certainly feel free to, if you want to refer someone or come yourself, please feel free to ring us up, have a chat about the program, the suitability for yourself or your patient, because we know that people need encouragement. And we really believe in what we're doing, and it's a beautiful program. Anecdotally, because I'm actually doing so many of the evaluations, we know that people's lives are changing. And to finish, I'll just tell you that I was speaking to a young mum recently who left our program, and I was speaking to her 3 months out, and she said when she came home on the last day of the program, she has 3 children, 2 of which have autism. I don't know how people live with that, but that's her story. And we only tell stories we've given permission to tell. And she said, I got home and they were all at me. And she said, and I was just about to blow. The volcano was just about to blow, and I realised and remembered I could choose my best response. So instead of exploding, I took a breath, I closed my eyes and I said to the kids, I do want to hear what you have to say. I'm really excited to see you, but Mummy needs to calm down. I'm very tired after my trip. We'll talk about it all tomorrow when we're all calmed down. And she said that has changed her family. It's changed her relationship with her children and with her husband, having the ability to choose a better response. So please come. It's a simple process. Please give us a call on our 1300 number. I've got plenty of brochures with me if you want one. And thank you very much for your attention.